My name is Paige Naumnik, and I will be discussing the Pyxis depicting standing saints or Ecclesiastes and the entry into Jerusalem with Christ riding a donkey. So, this Pyxis in particular was created by a Muslim artist, probably from Mosul, Iraq, within the mid to late 13th century. This Pyxis in particular was most likely used to store jewelry or another precious item because of how high quality the material is that it's made out of. The materials used to make this piece were brass and bronze inlaid with gold and silver. This object was most likely made for a Christian buyer by a Muslim artist, and that in itself is incredibly fascinating because of the themes and because of the images just depicted on the Pyxis itself. This object is very interesting to a viewer's eye because of how interesting and unique the imagery is. On that piece, there is a lot of Christian imagery depicting Jesus and Mary, Jesus himself riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, as well as St. Andrew. And these are very unique aspects for a Muslim to be creating, especially on a piece that is so timeless. A very important part of the imagery is the image of St. Andrew. He is the patron saint of the Crusades for Christians. So to see that a Muslim artist would create a piece with St. Andrew, who is basically working for the other side, as like the main point of perspective is really interesting. St. Andrew was probably included in this piece because of the fact that it was probably made for a Christian buyer. That's kind of like the motivation that we as historians have come up with. There would not really make any more sense as to why a Muslim artist would create something that's very propagandized towards the Christian side of the Crusades, unless somebody who was a part of the Christian side of the Crusades that wanted to take it or buy it. This piece definitely shows the mix of cultures within the Crusades. For example, there's an image of Mary and the infant Jesus on the lid, and Mary is depicted sitting as though a Muslim king would or somebody of Muslim royalty. And so that shows the importance of Mary throughout multiple cultures. They understand what Mary represents, they understand the importance of Mary herself. However, she is depicted in a different light. It kind of shows how universal these themes are and how widespread Christianity was, that even if somebody didn't believe in it or align with the beliefs, they could still respect it and still understand the importance of the people within the story. As the viewer examines the piece, there is a lot of different hidden imagery as well. For example, within the name, it's depicting Christ riding a donkey, and that image is incredibly small. So the eye is drawn to it, but also it kind of makes the viewer wonder, okay, well, if they could understand that this was important enough to include, why wasn't it a big eye piece? Why wasn't that something that immediately caught the viewer's attention? It's kind of a hidden detail. So then that further prompts the question of, okay, if this was made for a Christian buyer by a Muslim artist, why would they include this but not in a bigger light? Which is really fascinating for us to kind of look at and continue to pick at. I think that the importance of including St. Andrew within this piece is definitely to show the understanding through different cultures of the importance of different people included within the Crusades. So St. Andrew is the patron saint of Christians during the Crusades. He is a leader of a Christian fraternity, like within the Crusades. So obviously the Muslim artist understands how important this figure is to the Christian culture. However, it's also really interesting to look at because of the fact that St. Andrew is the only character depicted standing straight on. Everyone else is kind of from like a sidewards angle, but he is straight on and he is holding a cross, and that really depicts the like strength within the Christian motif of this. He's a very symbolic person because obviously he's concluding his power from Christ, but also he's there to guide the people as like a physical representation of support for the Christian side of the Crusades.